Good morning, this is Margaret from Team C, reading for you first this morning. I hope you're all keeping well, and now that the weather's getting a bit colder, keeping yourself warm enough. Now, my first item, along with me today, there is Edwina and Christine and, of course, Alistair. And the first item is Tragedy on Our Streets. An East Dunbartonshire man is among almost 100 homeless Scots who have died in the last year. New research has revealed the shocking death toll for those sleeping on streets in temporary accommodation or shelters. The figures were published by investigators at the Ferret website and the Bureau of Investigative Journalism, TBIJ. Through a Freedom of Information request, FOI, the team were told that a 33-year-old man from East Dunbartonshire died on February 1st this year. However, this was corrected to October 18th, 2017, by East Dunbartonshire Council on Monday, who told the Herald an error had been given in the FOI response regarding the date of death, and the age of the person was also 30, not 33. No more information on the person is known at this time. Local MP Joe Swinson has described the statistics which show that 94 Scots died while homeless and a total of 449 people throughout the UK as shocking and devastating. She said these shocking figures shine a spotlight on the devastating and sometimes fatal impact of homelessness, which is claiming lives including right here in East Dunbartonshire. This is a natural emergency. More people than ever before in Scotland have sought housing advice and support services from shelter in the past year. As a society, we must do more to tackle the issues that mean vulnerable people find themselves without proper shelter. There is an urgent need to build more social homes and to ensure housing benefits are sufficient for covering rent, as well as bringing the thousands of vacant properties across the country into use. We also need to tackle the wider issues in our institution that can lead to vulnerable people becoming homelessness. Whether it's prisoners being released into unsettled or unknown accommodation, or long waiting times to see mental health specialists. We simply cannot turn a blind eye to this awful crisis. She added, TBIJ, in partnership with Channel 4 News, found a former soldier, a physicist, and a travelling musician were among those who lost their lives. Violence, drug overdose, and suicide were identified as some of the reasons why they died, said Miss Swinton. Meanwhile, Shelter Scotland have urged the Scottish Government to use some of the 50 million pledged to their Ending Homelessness Together Fund to investigate why people are dying. Graham Brown, director of the charity, said these numbers are a disgrace and sadly, in all probability, only part of this tragic picture in Scotland. Shelter Scotland believe much more should be done to find out what can be done to prevent these personal tragedies being repeated. Each of these people was someone's child, someone's brother, sister, mother or father, and their loss will be felt. Figures for Scotland include 47 deaths in Glasgow, including one death in the Glasgow Winter Night Shelter in January.
Hello everyone, this is Christine now. First item, home plan for old council HQ site. Plans to transform the site of the former headquarters of East Dunbartonshire Council into an affordable housing development is one step closer. It's hoped almost 100 affordable homes can be built on the grounds of the former Tom Johnson House in Kirkintilloch. The Council's Place, Neighbourhood and Corporate Assets Committee has agreed to engage Hub West Scotland to procure design services and a building contractor to build the new properties. According to the Council, Hub West Scotland uses collaborative methods to provide a value-for-money route for the public sector in the procurement of infrastructure projects. The Council has previously used Hub West Scotland frameworks in the delivery of projects including Holy Trinity Primary School and Kirkintilloch Town Hall. Councillor Susan Murray, vice-convener of the committee, said, "This is a much-anticipated development which will increase the stock of high-quality affordable homes in the area. The investment in housing and infrastructure with associated community benefits will help with economic growth. Also, the contractor will be obligated to provide community benefits, including jobs and vocational skills training." Ian Marley, CEO of Hub West Scotland, said, "Hub West Scotland is passionate about delivering value for money and award-winning developments, and we are thrilled to be able to apply our talents to this opportunity. The site offers great potential to create a high-quality housing development, and we will ensure that local communities and businesses derive maximum benefit from the investment." The proposed plan for the Kirkintilloch site is for 98 affordable homes, including a mixture of 1, 2 and 3 bed flats, 2-bed cottage flats, of which 4 are wheelchair accessible, and 2, 3 and 4 bedroomed houses. Tom Johnson House was left derelict in August 2012 when the council moved to its new home in nearby South Bank Marina. 3 years later, in June 2015, the council agreed to proceed with the demolition of the building. The council said the move from Tom Johnson House to the marina was part of the corporate asset management programme to increase efficiency, reduce maintenance costs and achieve savings. And that's accompanied with a picture of the former Tom Johnson House before it was demolished. Family announcements. Deaths first of all. Gordon Batchelor, peacefully on October the 9th, 2018 at Glasgow Royal Infirmary. Beloved husband of the late Agnes, much-loved dad of Eric, Lorna and Ian, an adored granddad and great-granddad. The funeral took place on Tuesday, October the 16th at Daldowie Crematorium, and family flowers only were asked for, or a donation to the Erskine Care Home for Retired Veterans. Margaret Graham, peacefully at Whitefield Lodge Care Home on October the 10th, beloved wife of the late Robert, a much-loved mum of Susan, Kenneth, Elizabeth and Rona, an adored gran and great-gran. Funeral service will take place on Friday, October the 19th at Glasgow Crematorium, Mary Hill for 2:30 p.m. John Lydiard. Sadly, at Glasgow Royal Infirmary on Wednesday, October the 10th, John, much-loved husband of Sylvia, dad of Emma and Eric, granddad and father-in-law. The funeral service will take place at Daldowie Crematorium on Monday, October the 22nd at 12 noon, thereafter to Kincaid House Hotel, Milton of Campsie. No flowers, please. Nancy Smith, née Peebles. George and family are sad to announce the passing of Nancy on October the 8th. A church service will be held at St Columba's in Kirkintilloch at 1 p.m. on Monday, October the 22nd, to which family and friends are invited, and then on to Mary Hill Crematorium. Family flowers only. A donation will be taken for the Stroke Foundation Scotland. Finally, in memoriam, David Oliphant, in loving memory of our dear son David, who died on October the 18th, 2006. Quotation, another page of our memory book is gently turning today. With love, Dad and Margaret.
Hi, it's Edwina, author to visit for Book Week. Author David Munro, who wrote the Time Jigsaw series of books, will talk about his path from business to published author on Wednesday, November the 21st, from 2 to 3 p.m. at Lennoxtown Library as part of National Book Week. That's it. Hello. Belting out £2,000 for cancer charity. Deacon Blues keyboard player Jim Prime helped raise almost £2,000 for Breast Cancer UK when he took to the stage at Milton of Campsie Parish Church recently. Jim was amongst the performers who turned out for Belt It Out for Breast Cancer, which saw people of all ages, abilities and musical styles take part. Organiser Jill Brown said, a lot of people were involved in making it a great evening, not only the musicians, but also those who helped with catering, ticketing and sound. It was a real team effort and great to have so much support. We were delighted with the turnout and generosity. Bishopbriggs drug trafficker with gun jailed. A drug trafficker who was caught with a gun and ammunition has been jailed for 7 years. Police found the illicit weapon at Alan Gilmore's home after they stopped a car he was driving and detained him on suspicion of having drugs. The gun was a converted Derringer-style pistol which originally discharged blank cartridges but had been modified to fire bullets. 9 rounds of ammunition were also recovered during the search of a flat in Crowhill Quadrant in Bishopbriggs on the outskirts of Glasgow. More than £8,000 in cash was found in the premises and a bag containing a further £7,100 was discovered in the car. Cocaine was also found in a rucksack in the boot of the vehicle along with the common adulterant benzocaine, which is used to bulk out the drug. A judge told Gilmore, 27, he was compelled by Parliament to impose a minimum sentence of 5 years on him for the firearms offence. Lord Burns jailed him for a further 2 years at the High Court in Edinburgh for drug crime and told him, these are Class A drugs and people who distribute them in the way you did must be dealt with in a serious manner. Gilmore earlier admitted illegally possessing the gun and ammunition on October 16th last year. Possessing the Class B drug cannabinol and being concerned in the supply of a Class A cocaine, police stopped him on October 16th in Bishopbriggs. As they approached the vehicle, thought he was trying to hide something. They found money, cocaine, scales and a notepad containing notations which appeared to be linked to the drug trade. The total amount of cocaine recovered had a potential maximum value of about £8,000. Some of it was high purity, which would likely be bulked out for onward supply. Defence counsel Tony Lenihan said Gilmore had used drugs recreationally but developed an issue with gambling and started getting them on tick. Mr. Lenihan said he was called on to store items and having taken delivery of drugs, he would pass them on to others. He added, he is a painter and decorator. That is his trade. He is not a gangster or someone who is a career criminal. Lord Burns told Gilmore, I still have difficulty in accepting that your role was limited, simply distribution. Big question. Should Primary 1 assessments be scrapped for children? The poll taken by your local paper said 68% said yes and 32% said no. This week is National Baking Week, October 15th to the 21st. It was started by the company Pyrex and founded in 2007. It aims to encourage people of all abilities to bake at home. Your weather for the weekend is as follows from Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. It's not a bad weekend. There will be a light cloud and a gentle breeze on Saturday. Temperatures should get up to 14 degrees. There will be some light rain overnight, which should clear early morning. More light cloud is forecast on Sunday. The picture of the week is of the coastline, sea cliff on the coastline next to Tantallon Castle in East Lothian, and was sent in by Pam Robson. It actually looks quite dreich. There's no people. It's all just the sort of coast, which is basically rock, and in the far distance you can just make out the castle.
Now the next item are the letters, and there are 6 letters long. First one, environment. Remove meat from our diets. Recently, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, released a report that suggests that if we do not make changes to our lifestyles and habits, then we will be unable to keep global temperatures at the preferred target of 1.5 C above pre-industrial levels. As a result of this, the report makes a number of recommendations for governments and individuals. Most significantly, it points out the need to reduce our consumption of meat and dairy products. According to previous UN reports, 14.5% of all greenhouse gas emissions can be attributed to animal farming, whereas motorised transport, which includes planes, cars, trucks and ships, is responsible for around 13%. A 2014 study by Oxford University found that the carbon footprint of a vegan diet was as much as 60% smaller than that of a meat-based diet, and 24% smaller than a vegetarian diet. In addition, a 2018 study by researchers at Oxford University concluded that a vegan diet is probably the single biggest way to reduce your impact on planet Earth, not just greenhouse gases, but global acidification, eutrophication, land use and water use. In short, if we are to prevent some of the worst impacts of climate change, the best thing we can do is to remove animal products from our diets. And it has never been easier, with vegan options now available everywhere, including supermarkets, local shops, restaurants and coffee shops. For those who are interested in making positive changes for the environment, you can order a free Go Vegan pack. And that was written by Tom Bradbury, Campaign Manager, Vegan Outreach. Environment. Don't do as we do, do as we tell you. The International Panel on Climate Change and climate scientists are warning that mankind needs to limit global warming to a rise of 1.5 C above pre-industrial levels, and call for dramatic and urgent steps to cut emissions to zero by 2050. By 2050, most of them will be retired or dead and can no longer be called to account for the 1.8 trillion a year world cost. The promises, because that's all they were for 190 countries, made at the Paris Accord, would put the world on track for 3 C of warming by the end of the century, not 1.5 C. Worldwide, over 1,000 new coal-fired electricity plants are being built or planned, and their lifespan is over 50 years. Do politicians, scientists and environmental activists really think that developing countries will forsake the plentiful supply of cheap fossil fuels. Those who do should give up their cars, large houses, meat, stop flying, shut off their central heating, and burn wood and refuse to buy anything manufactured or derived from fossil fuels. That would show commitment, but their favourite expression is, "Don't do as we do as we tell you." And that's from a Clark Cross of Linlithgow. Next letter, charities. Cats Protection now a beneficiary. Cats Protection is delighted to have been selected as a beneficiary of People's Postcode Lottery. With over £340 million raised for charities to date and 3 million players in Britain, this is a fantastic opportunity for the charity and the 200,000 cats that it helps every year. People's Postcode Lottery players will be helping Cats Protection homing and volunteering work throughout England, Scotland and Wales to the tune of £1,027,744. The money will support the charity's vital rehoming and volunteering work, funding hands-on roles such as cat care assistants and volunteer team leaders. These roles play an active part in caring for unwanted or abandoned cats and kittens. Volunteer team leaders support volunteers to provide the best possible cat and adopter experience at the charity's adoption centres, while cat care assistants are responsible for the day-to-day hands-on care for the cats. This includes feeding and providing enrichment, as well as administering medication and giving additional care to cats that need nursing. And that's from Mark Beasley, Director of Operations, Cats Protection. And now sport. Cup neutrality is essential. Following the recent League Cup venue and ticket allocation debacle, it occurs to me that in the interest of neutrality, it's time the SPFL and the SFA, for that matter, to introduce a rigid application of the principle that for all teams playing in cup competitions who reach the stage where the games are required to be played at the neutral venue of Hampden, all tickets will be allocated on a 50-50 split, and that any ticket not sold are returned in reasonable time for resale to the opponents, only in the interests of not having too many empty seats at the venue. It should be clear by now that Scottish football supporters who are reasonable and sporting-minded individuals no longer accept that there should be any entitlement to Scottish football based on a club size. Regarding our neutral venue for cup finals, our National Stadium Hampden, when it is openly accepted by the SPFL and SFA that the stadium is split into the Rangers end and the Celtic end, and it is common practice that any opponents of either Rangers or Celtic when playing at Hampden are just assigned the opposite end without the use of a tossed coin, then it should be clear to anyone that this setup damages the neutrality of the venue, turning it into a home venue for either Celtic or Rangers. Further, it fosters a sense of entitlement among these two clubs that they have more rights than the rest of the league teams because of their size. As I pointed out earlier, this is totally unacceptable to today's Scottish football fans who are reasonable, sporting-minded individuals. It's time both the SPFL and the SFA got their house in order, or face becoming the next high-profile embarrassment to our beautiful game. And that's from a Stephen McCarran. Next letter's mental health, suicide prevention. It is generally a sign that things are going very badly when you have to appoint a suicide prevention officer to counter the effects of your own party policies on the vulnerable. As someone with a background in psychology and counselling, I would like to applaud the announcement of a suicide prevention champion. However, when a major cause of suicide is the UK administration's own policies, then common sense, as well as professionalism and humanity, requires that you take stock. Fortunately, the SNP's Ian Blackford is in a position to do just that, as he grilled the Tory Prime Minister on the impact of her government's own social security policies on people's mental health this week. The level of hypocrisy is appalling. However, the information is there for everyone to judge for themselves. For example, The Independent ran an article this week with figures on attempted suicides among out-of-work disability benefit claimants, which have more than doubled since the introduction of fit-to-work assessments in 2008. But that's not all. There have also been claims of women committing suicide over the changes to pension age, as well as an increase in suicide in immigration detention centres. Parents of people with learning disability are also pushed to edge over assessments. So you'll have to excuse me if the appointment of a suicide prevention post does not reassure. Their nasty policies are just as damaging as ever. And that's from an Yvonne Stevenson Robb. And the final letter is politics. No Indira FT date on the horizon. By the end of the SNP conference, Nicola Sturgeon had entirely let down her dyed-in-the-wool supporters by failing to deliver the one thing they need from her, a date for Indira FT 2. Now I think that means Independence Referendum 2. Of course, SNP Commons leader Ian Blackford leaked weeks back that despite earlier promises, an Indira F2 date would be set at conference. Miss Sturgeon knows Downing Street won't permit another referendum before 2023 at the very soonest. SNP politicians such as Angus MacNeil, Joanna Cherry and Mike Russell talk up achieving independence without Westminster's agreement for a referendum. But the SNP leader is too astute to fall into that trap. She'd end up thwarted, just like her Catalan pals. Miss Sturgeon pins her hopes on a general election resulting in a minority Labour administration, with the SNP providing support in exchange for Indira FT on her timescale. But she knows that's a long shot. So all that remains for her is to carry on as usual until the Holyrood election, using Holyrood as a soapbox form, which to campaign for independence. And that's from our Martin Redfern. This is an editorial. You just can't keep royals out of the news. In case you've been on another planet for the past week, there's been another royal wedding at St George's Chapel in Windsor. And don't they do it in style? Yes, the marriage of Princess Eugenie to Jack Brooksbank had all the glitz and glamour of a normal royal wedding, including a sparkling guest list. But it didn't have the same crowd appeal some of the previous ones had. Now there's a great divide throughout the country for and against the royals, and that will never change. What is amazing, though, is the impact they have across the world, where their popularity seems to be growing. Indeed, Princess Eugenie's wedding seemed to attract more interest abroad than it did in the UK, with crowds and television audience figures well down. Is the upsurge in popularity more to do with the younger royals and how they seem to be able to connect better with the public they meet? And just as things were getting back to normal, Prince Harry and his wife Meghan Markle announced they're expecting a child in the spring. Can't wait for all the speculation about the baby's name.
Kiki is a superstar, but she's down to earth too. One thing is crystal clear. Despite a hugely successful career, Kiki D has her feet firmly planted on the ground. She calls and emails me herself. There's no public relations guru to fight your way through. And as we talk on the phone, she's waiting on the British gas man to come to her home to fix the boiler. A rock star's life is so glamorous, she jokes. Down to earth and easy to talk to, we're discussing her upcoming gig at Mulgai Folk Club with her long-term musical partner, Carmelo Luggeri. They were introduced by none other than the man who first discovered Elton John and ran his Rocket record label for several years, Stephen Brown. Kiki said, Stephen sadly died a few months ago. He was a really interesting man. He managed Billy Connolly for about 30 years. He left the music business several times but kept on coming back. He was so creative. It was actually Stephen who said Carmelo and I should go out on the road together and do acoustic gigs. He introduced us, and we've been working together now for more than 18 years. We discovered we work really well together. I do most of the lyrics, and Carmelo, who is a fantastic musician, writes the melodies. Indeed, the partnership has been such a hit that they've recently recorded a live album, So Here We Are, to sell at gigs, which will soon be available online too. Explaining how it came about, Kiki said, Jane, a really good friend who sells our merchandising at shows, said people had been asking about a couple of songs we do in our live shows, such as the Everly Brothers' Let It Be Me and Joni Mitchell's How Do You Stop. They weren't on any of our albums, so we decided to do some live recordings as a way of giving something back to the fans who have been very loyal to us. And some of those fans will no doubt be in the audience for the duo's concert in the Fraser Centre in Mulgai on Saturday, November the 17th at 7:30 p.m. It's part of a series of intimate gigs Kiki and Carmelo are undertaking here in Scotland. They will showcase some of the old favourites, including a slowed-down version of Kiki's #1 single with Elton, Don't Go Breaking My Heart, along with tracks from their new album, currently in the making. Kiki said, I'd had it with trying to be a pop star and decided to be a touring musician instead, but we didn't want to be stuck in the 70s either. We wanted to be as creative as we could possibly be. So people coming along to the show can expect a great mix of my songs from way back, covers from people that we really like, such as Kate Bush and Frank Sinatra, as well as some of the new songs from our upcoming album. We call it our musical journey, and like doing intimate gigs because you really build up a rapport with the audience. We always end up having a bit of a giggle. Born in Bradford in 1947 as Pauline Matthews, Kiki was spotted by a record company scout in 1963 and signed to Fontana Records. In an incredible career, Kiki became the first British artist to be signed by Tamla Motown in 1970, before signing with Elton John's Rocket record label in the early 1970s, and she scored her first UK top 20 hit in 1973 with her version of Amoureuse, and then topped the UK chart for 6 weeks in 1976 with Elton John. The duo performed their hit song at the 1985 Live Aid concert at Wembley Stadium, where Kiki also sang backing vocals for Elton. The pair remain firm friends today. Kiki said, I was invited over to Detroit and spent 3 months doing an album. It wasn't a huge commercial success, but I've always been very proud of that work. Live Aid was a blast. I didn't have the same pressure as other artists who performed full sets, so I was just able to enjoy the day. I could sing Don't Go Breaking My Heart in my sleep. I've done it with Elton so often. So I just tipped up and had a ball. I see Elton a couple of times a year and we always do birthday and Christmas cards, but his life is so much in demand, it's completely crazy. I dip a toe into that world very occasionally, but the rest of the time my life is pretty down to earth. One of Kiki's favourite memories from her life in the music industry involves another soul superstar. She said, I was recording an album in London in 1981 and Marvin Gaye was in the studio next door. He invited me to listen to his new song, Sexual Healing. He's one of my favourite soul voices of all time, so it was incredible. Despite an amazing career, Kiki remains self-effacing, and fans help to keep her feet on the ground. Carmelo is an amazing guitarist and always blows people away, she added. Fans often say to me, Kiki, you were great, but that guitarist, wow. Kiki and Carmelo will perform at the Fraser Centre in Mulgai on Saturday, November the 17th at 7:30, and tickets are priced at £20. And that article is accompanied by some lovely photographs of Kiki on her own and also with Carmelo.
Theft of £1 million of metal from site. Thieves used tunnels to steal metal worth more than £1 million from derelict buildings at Stobhill Hospital. They spent months stripping out valuable high-voltage cables, which were still live, as well as pipes and lead. According to reports, the gang used utility tunnels to move around the site, erected temporary lights, brought in a specialist electrician and stole a CCTV security camera. It is believed the gang used nearby Little Hill Golf Club in Bishopbriggs to access the site via a narrow bridge hidden by trees. Paul Sweeney, MP for Glasgow North East, saw the extent of the thefts in a site visit last month, after the building was set alight by vandals in July. He has written to NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde to express his shock at the state of the old hospital. He said millions and millions of pounds worth of property has been taken, destroyed or allowed to fall into bits at a time when the NHS is so strapped for cash. This site was a treasure trove, but its value has been plundered by criminals. A skilled electrician was used to isolate sections of the cable as the site's power was still live, despite being shut in 2009. After the gang's departure, vandals are believed to have entered the site and caused the devastating fire earlier this year. NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde confirmed the hospital has been targeted and was working with police to protect it. A spokesperson added, the decommissioned buildings of the site have been prioritised for a phased demolition programme. Police Scotland also confirmed it has received a number of reports of metal theft from the site. Enquiries are ongoing. Murder accused dies in cell. A man accused of stabbing his partner, Kirkintilloch woman Jennifer Morgan, to death has died in prison. Hugh Baird, 40, was found dead in his cell at Barlinnie Prison on Monday, October 8th. The death is not being treated as suspicious. Baird from Glasgow was due to stand trial this week over the murder of Jennifer, 33, in Alexander Place, Kirkintilloch, on April 18th this year. He was accused of sitting outside Miss Morgan's house in a car and shouting at her when she appeared before following her and repeatedly stabbing her. Police Scotland confirmed they received the report of Baird's death at Barlinnie at around 7:05 a.m. The spokesperson stated the death is not being treated as suspicious. A Crown Office spokesman added, "The Procurator Fiscal has received a report in connection with the death of a 40-year-old man in Glasgow on October the 8th, 2018. The investigation into the death, under the direction of Scottish Fatalities Investigations Unit, is ongoing, and the family will be kept updated in relation to any significant developments." Council agree to remove fees for child burials in the area. Child burial fees have been removed in East Dunbartonshire. The decision was taken at a recent meeting of the Council's Place, Neighbourhood and Corporate Assets Committee. It means family who suffer the loss of a loved one aged 17 and under will not have to pay interment, lair purchase or headstone permit fees for burials or a cremation fee. The move is in line with an agreement reached between the Scottish Government and local government organisations, COSLA. The Council did not previously charge interment fees for burials as regards under 16s. That has now been extended to under 17s, and lair purchase fees have been removed. Councillor Susan Murray said, "This is absolutely the right thing to do. Organising a child's funeral or cremation is a burden no family ever wants to face, and the associated costs can be an added pressure." Council change bin collections in a bid to increase efficiencies. Changes are being made to bin collections by East Dunbartonshire Council. According to the Council, the changes will be minor and the role of a new fleet and increase operational efficiencies over the next few weeks. A Council spokesman said, "Currently blue and brown recycling bins are collected by the same vehicle. In future, the blue and brown bins will continue to be collected on the same day, but be picked up separately by different crews. We would advise residents to leave bins on the pavement until both have been collected." Some residents in Lennoxtown and Bearsden areas also faced having their green and grey bins left unlifted on Thursday, October the 11th, due to operational difficulties. New council service to report dog fouling. Local residents reporting dog fouling are being offered a more streamlined service via East Dunbartonshire Council's website and the national My Account scheme. This latest improvement means that once a dog fouling report has been submitted online, a case is automatically created in the environmental health system and is assigned to a community safety officer. As of this week, customers can use My Account, a free and secure online service for accessing public services online in Scotland, to check the progress of their cases right through to closure. You can register by visiting the www.eastdunbarton.gov.uk homepage and clicking on to the My Account button. Joint Council Leader Vaughan Moody, Chair of the Policy and Resources Committee, said the dog fouling reporting service has been streamlined and now provides residents with progress information via My Account. "I would strongly encourage people to sign up for My Account. It's a nationwide service which aims to increase secure access to local services for local residents. It is easy to use, and when you sign up for My Account, it means that many forms are automatically filled in, saving you time. It also helps to track the progress of cases and allows you to save online forms for completion later. Another benefit of signing up for My Account is that you don't have to re-register with local public sector services if you move to a new part of Scotland. In the coming months, more online services will be automated in this way to make the process of assessing services more streamlined and user-friendly. There's a lovely picture of a dog and its owner in a beautiful park. I don't know where it's been taken, but it is rather nice, with his dog on a lead and his poop bag in his hand. We now come to the churches.
Milton of Campsie. Meet to eat a bread and soup lunch with home baking and tea or coffee on Fridays, noon to 2 p.m. On Sunday, October 21st, worship begins at 11 a.m. at Milton of Campsie Parish Church and will be followed by a bread and soup lunch. Jigsaw, Epic and Crossover will leave after family time, along with babies and toddlers, for the supervised creche in the afternoon. Reverend Phyllis Wilson will conduct services at Birdston Care Centre and Lilliburn Care Home. The coffee morning is on Tuesday at 10 a.m. with optional pause for thought at 11 a.m. Colston Well Park. All welcome to our service this Sunday at 11 a.m, led by Reverend Leslie Grieve. Monday, the Art Club, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Tuesday, no BB, Anchor and Junior sections, school holiday. Wednesday, Cake and Company, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Midweek worship, a time of reflection, 12:30 p.m. to 1 p.m. No brownies, school holiday. Thursday, Sing Aloud Community Choir, 7:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. Kirk session at 7:30 p.m. Friday, no BB Company and Senior Sections school holiday. Forthcoming events, Wednesday, October 23rd, film night at 7:30. St Cyprian's. At St Cyprian's Church we continue to worship each Sunday at 9:15 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. and would love to see you. As the sister church in Scotland of the Church of England, our worship tends to be Eucharistic. This coming Sunday is the only Sunday this year when it is not communion. St Cyprian's is also a great place to mark special occasions. Why not consider us as a place for weddings, baptisms and funerals? Church of God. On Sunday in the Regent Hall, Regent Street, Kirkintilloch, Church of God is holding a Good News service at 6:30 p.m. The speaker will be Dr. Carl Smith on Tuesday prayer and Bible teaching is at 7:30. St David's. On Sunday, October 21st, the launch of the annual Operation Christmas Child will take place. The campaign will continue until Sunday, November the 18th. Goods to help fill the shoeboxes and filled boxes will be available for purchase at the lunch box on Saturday, October 27th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tea, coffee, home baking will be available, as will soup and sandwich lunches. The service on October 21st will be led by our minister, Reverend Adam Dillon. The weekday service will take place at noon on Tuesday, October 23rd. The Friendship Club will meet in the garden room from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. The Girls' Brigade will hold their enrolment night on Tuesday, October 23rd, from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. for Primary 4 to Primary 7 and from 7 to 8 p.m. for S1 to S6. Lenzie Union. Sunday service at Lenzie Union Parish Church is at 11 a.m. The church is open for quiet reflection on Wednesdays 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. A short time of prayer is held at 10:15 a.m. The meeting place coffee shop is open 10 a.m. to noon on Wednesdays. The coffee pot is open Fridays 10 a.m. to 11:45. As part of our Year of Young People celebrations, we will host a Lenzie Got Talent show on October 27th at 7 p.m. in the new hall. St Columba's. Sunday, October 21st, worship 10:30 a.m. Sunday club and Bible class 10:30 a.m. Creche available for babies and children of preschool age. Tuesday, October 23rd, midweek morning worship in the lounge at 10 a.m. Service is conducted by the Reverend Philip Wright. Hillhead Parish. Kirk session will meet in the session room Thursday at 7 p.m. The Sunday service will be conducted by the Reverend Bill Ramsey and will start at 11 a.m. The Browners will meet in Hillhead Parish Church on Tuesday at 6:45 p.m. Springfield, Cambridge. The Cambridge Chapel will be open Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to noon. Information leaflets from Alzheimer's Scotland and upcoming events are also available. A short weekly service of worship is held on Wednesdays in the Cambridge Chapel from 11 to 11:30, followed by tea and coffee served in the Hall of Fellowship. The Bible study group meets on Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. in the Cambridge Chapel. Worship on Sunday, October 21st, will take place at 11 a.m. This service will be conducted by Reverend Hallie Finlay, accompanied by our Assistant Minister, Dr. Sonia Blakesley. The creche will be happy to look after your child, birth to 3 years, in room 2 during the service. The Sunday school meets in the Springfield Hall, and the Bible Wayfinders meet in room 1. St. James the Less, Hilton Road, Bishopbriggs, Reverend Paul Watson. On Thursday there is a midweek communion service at 11 a.m. in the chapel. On Sunday, the 9 a.m. service will be in the chapel, while the main service at 10:30 a.m. will be in the church and will be a communion service with hymns. From 7 to 8 p.m. on Sunday, there is a quiet reflective service on the theme of the journey. Torrance Parish. You are assured of a warm welcome at our morning service. The 9 a.m. service is short, quiet and informal, and ideal for new folk. And our regular service is at 10:30 a.m. At this service, the youngsters will meet together in Junior Church FROG and connect, and there is a creche available. The prayer clinic and the library are open on a Wednesday, 10:30 a.m. to noon. The community cafe is open on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 9 a.m. to noon, and Saturday for croissants and bacon rolls. Campsie Parish. On Sunday, October 21st, 11 a.m. worship in Campsie Parish Church, Lennoxton, will be conducted by George Kelly. Members of JAM meet at 10:45 a.m. and will join in the first part of church worship before retiring to the rear halls for further activities. Riverside Church. Are you in need of company? Then come and have a chat, cup of tea and some home baking on Wednesdays 1:30 to 3:30 at Coffee Corner. Thursday prayer meeting is from 10 a.m. for coffee, followed by prayer until 11. Boxercise on Fridays is from 6:30 to 7:30 for all ages. Sunday service on October 21st from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. for prayer and communion, followed by coffee in the hall. All age services at 11:30 a.m. Speaker, David Breckenridge, new pastor. Teen Challenge is on Monday from 8 to 10 p.m. Bible study on the Psalms is on Tuesday at 7:30. All welcome. Hairstane Baptist. Sunday worship at 11 a.m. will be conducted by the Reverend John Spencer. The parents and toddlers meet from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. on Monday. Tuesday's friends meet from 2 to 3 p.m. where we enjoy tea, coffee and cakes. The Bible study is at 7:30 p.m. on Thursday. All these events will be held in Hairstane's Community Centre, where a warm welcome awaits you. Sunday services at 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. This is Kenmure Parish, Sunday services at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. will be led by our minister, Reverend Jim Gemmell. Kenmure Guild meets on Monday at 7:30 p.m. when the speaker will be Keith Jones, talking about Helix Park and the Kelpies. New members and visitors are welcome to attend. Lenzie Old Parish. The Quilting and Craft Group meets on Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. in the church office. The church is open for prayer on Thursday, as usual, from 10 a.m. to 11:30. Our country dance group is now underway for the new session and would be delighted to welcome anyone interested in dancing the night away. We meet each Thursday from 7:30 p.m. until 9:30 p.m. in the hall. The service on October 21st is at 11 a.m. Reverend George Cowie, clerk to the Presbytery of Glasgow, will be conducting worship. Sunday school for children aged from 3 to primary 7 and focus for young people. A creche is available for children from birth to 3 years. Time out on Monday, October 22nd, is a games night. Millerstone United Free Church. Everybody is welcome to join us at 11 a.m. During the week, our craft group meets each Wednesday from 1:30 p.m, while our next fortnightly Bible study and prayer time takes place on October 24th. You may want to make a note of our Autumn Craft Fair on November the 10th and our involvement in Tier Fun's Big Quiz on November 17th. Come and join a team or bring a team. And if you would like to talk more generally about faith and life, please phone the church pastor, David Miller, on 07975 531 585.
Why Leaves on the Line is no joke for Scotland's Railway. Scotland's Railway has launched its biggest ever response to the threats caused by autumn leaf fall. The measures include more leaf-busting trains, additional crews, as well as an extensive information campaign aimed at customers and staff. Network Rail in Scotland is running its 7-strong fleet of leaf-busting trains around the clock to minimise the impact of leaves on the line this autumn. During autumn, the trees that grow along the railway drop thousands of tons of leaves onto the tracks, and this debris can cause significant disruption, breaking down into a slippery surface that causes trains to lose their grip on the rails. This can make trains skid and overshoot signals and platforms, potentially putting customers and staff in danger. The debris can also affect signalling systems, making it hard to track trains on the network. A fleet of specialist trains deployed to clear leaf debris and spray lines with a glue-like coating to help train wheels grip the tracks. Treatment trains, covering an average of 2,500 miles a week, running each day from early October until December. Leaf fall teams of staff based at key points across the network, ready to react quickly to clean specific locations where drivers report poor conditions. An increased programme to remove line-side vegetation and trees which may pose a danger. Increased staffing at depots to clean leaf debris from train wheels and undercarriages. Douglas Clift, Network Rail Seasonal Delivery Specialist, said, "Over the next 2 months, we will be running a huge operation to treat tracks and keep trains running on time. We've teams on the ground spraying and scrubbing clear the mulch from the leaf fall, and railhead treatment trains will work around the clock, steam cleaning the rails and adding adhesives to improve traction. We know few things annoy customers more than when their train is delayed because of leaves on the line. But the reality is that leaves can be dangerous and lead to disruption." And that's accompanied by a picture of what looks like probably a local train line. Women urged to touch, look, check. Women are still not regularly checking themselves for the signs and symptoms of breast cancer. Leading charity Breast Cancer Now carried out a survey of over 1,000 women across Scotland, which revealed that a significant proportion remain unsure of the signs and symptoms of breast cancer. In response, the charity is urging all women to check themselves regularly for the signs and symptoms of the disease. Ellen Hughes, Head of Public Health and Information for Breast Cancer Now, said, "It's easy as touch, look, check. Just get to know what looks and feels normal for you, check regularly and report any unusual changes to your doctor. It could save your life." The big picture and the big number this week. First of all, the big number is 1882, and that was the year that Barlinnie was built in Glasgow. A total of 10 executions took place there between 1947 and 1960. And the big picture this week showed organ expert Paul Miller cleaning some of the 2,889 pipes inside the gigantic organ in Glasgow's Kelvin Grove Art Gallery. And that's a picture of him working in wherever the pipes are located. Looks like a room at the back of the organ, and fascinating picture it is.
Bringing the work of World War I poet Charles Hamilton Sorley home to Scotland. In this century year of the end of World War I, writer and producer Brion Rydell has been determined that the life and work of World War I Scottish poet Charles Hamilton Sorley will not be forgotten. It is easy to be dead. Neil Macpherson's beautifully written and significant play takes to the stage at Oranmore, Glasgow, from Sunday, November the 11th to Wednesday, November the 14th. The title of the play is taken from Sorley's last poem, written shortly before his death and found in his military kit. In this poem, he expresses his feelings about the stark reality of death and the futility of weeping for the fallen soldiers. As he explains, these ghosts are but shadows of the men they once were. Our tears and words mean nothing to them. Give them not praise, for death how should they know? It is not curses heaped on each gashed head, nor tears. Their blind eyes not see not your tears flow, nor honour. It is easy to be dead. Sorley's voice is much needed today. He was a humanitarian who spoke truth to power, and as playwright Neil Macpherson said, at first glance Charles Sorley might seem to fit the stereotype of the gallant young public schoolboy officer pointlessly killed in action. But the full story is a little different. Sorley was very aware of his privilege. He nearly left school early to become a social worker. He was an outsider. He lived and studied in Germany directly before the war, and crucially and intuitively understood the horror and pity of war long before anyone else. This was a teenager who was writing, "I should like so much to kill whoever was primarily responsible for the war," when most of his contemporaries, most famously Rupert Brooke, were still in a rapturous early stages of sacrificial patriotism. Poets like John Masefield called Sorley potentially the greatest poet lost to us in that war, and Robert Greaves thought him one of the 3 poets of importance killed in the war whose death was a major loss. Rydell feels the time is long overdue for the literary talent of this World War I poet to be more widely recognised. Sorley was born in Aberdeen in 1895 and studying in Germany when the First World War broke out, and was briefly imprisoned as an enemy alien. He was one of the first to enlist in 1914, killed in action a year later at the Battle of Loos, aged 20. Sorley's poems and letters are amongst the most ambient, profound and moving war literature ever written. His life and writings remain one of the great undiscovered stories of World War I. It is Easy to Be Dead is a historical drama that is both inspiring and heartbreaking. He tells the story of the poet's life through his letters and poetry, with music and songs from some of the greatest composers of the period. It is a powerful and evocative play set against the backdrop of Germany just before the outbreak of World War I, and recounts the experiences of young Charles Sorley, who fell in love with Germany and its culture during the gap year. The original stellar cast will recreate the play and includes Alexander Knox in the title role Charlie, Jenny Lee, Janet, Tom Marshall, William, Hugh Benson, singer, and Elizabeth Rossiter, pianist and musical director, and the director is Max Key. Rydell's passion comes across clearly, and in his own words, he said, "Everyone agreed that I must produce this play in Scotland. There was never any doubt in my own mind that I wanted to bring Sorley home to Aberdeen, his birthplace. In an increasingly fragmented world, it is a play that inspires rather than divides. Mounting the play in his native land will ensure that Sorley, one of Scotland's unsung heroes, is at last being recognised by his country. It is Easy to be Dead is at Oranmore from November the 11th to the 14th, starting at 7:30 in the evening." There are 2 photographs, obviously, of these rehearsals, I would presume, showing the characters Alexander Knox, Jenny Lee, Tom Marshall, and there is another one with Alexander Knox as Charlie on his own. 4th, very dark photos, presumed done in black and white to reflect the period in which it was written.
Public urged to enjoy fireworks in safe manner. People across Scotland are being urged to enjoy organised fireworks safely and responsibly this November 5th. The call follows a number of incidents last year when Police Scotland officers and Scottish Fire and Rescue Service SFRS crew members were injured by projectile fireworks. The Scottish Government has been working in partnership with Police Scotland, the SFRS and the 2 HM inspectorates to ensure that services are well prepared for this year's celebrations and can respond robustly to any antisocial behaviour. Minister for Community Safety Ash Denham said, "Bonfire night is an opportunity for local communities to come together and for families to enjoy fireworks responsibly. I would encourage people to attend officially organised displays where fireworks are controlled in a safe environment. The safety of the public is paramount, and we need to ensure a selfish minority do not spoil the celebrations for others. The use of fireworks as a means of inflicting injury on individuals, including members of our emergency services, is completely unacceptable and illegal. Robust action will be taken against anyone who puts lives at risk." Lewis Ramsey, Scottish Fire and Rescue Services Director of Response and Resilience, said, "These firefighters are your father, mother, brother or sister, someone's family. It beggars belief when I hear that they have either been physically assaulted or verbally abused when trying to assist their communities. This type of behaviour not only prevents our crews from bringing any emergency to a safe and swift conclusion, but it can impact on our emergency service colleagues, including the police, when they have to escort us at the scene." Assistant Chief Constable Paul Anderson, Police Scotland, added, "For the vast majority of people, the last year's bonfire night was either spent at home or enjoying an appropriately organised fireworks display. However, a small group of individuals were responsible for localised incidents of disorder, which included the targeting of emergency services personnel. Such behaviour is unacceptable." The number of females joining the technology sector has risen. The ONS Annual Population Survey has revealed the number of women in the technology sector has more than doubled in the last 8 years, rising from 10,300 in 2010 to 24,000 in 2018. Claire Gillespie, Sector Manager for Digital Technologies at SDS, said, "Industry, government, educationalists and charity organisations have all been working together to try and address the gender imbalance. We're pleased to see our concerted efforts are starting to bear digital fruit." The next item is headed, "Remember This." On October the 16th, 1995, the Skye Bridge opened, connecting the Isle of Skye to the Scottish mainland. Previously, crossings had been made by ferry from the Kyle of Loch Alsh. Construction on the bridge began in 1992. The original toll fare for crossing the bridge was highly controversial until all bridge tolls in Scotland were abolished in 2004. On October the 20th, 1968, Jacqueline Kennedy married Greek shipping tycoon Aristotle Onassis, 5 years after the assassination of her husband John Kennedy. And there's a very nice picture of the Skye Bridge, and up in the corner a very nice picture also of Jacqueline Kennedy.
Margaret, are you first?
22.
Well,
It's the same thing, sorry.
wait a minute. I'll just do this 22A, and that'll get it away. 124.
This week in history, worldwide events from October the 16th to the 23rd. October the 16th, 1997. Handguns were banned in the UK following the massacre at Dunblane Primary School, when Thomas Hamilton killed 16 young children and their teacher. October the 17th, 1979. Mother Teresa was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for her work with the sick and poor in Calcutta. She founded the Missionaries of Charity in 1950, whose members take vows of chastity, poverty, obedience, and also profess a fourth vow to give free service to the poorest of the poor. October the 18th, 1963. Sir Alec Douglas Home, here's a picture of him, became Prime Minister after bitterly fought Conservative Party leadership contest. Before he renounced his title, he was the first peer to hold the office since 1895. He was Prime Minister for under a year before losing the general election to Harold Wilson. October the 19th, 1989. The Guildford Four, who were convicted in 1975-76 of the Guildford pub bombings, which killed 4 soldiers and 1 civilian, were released after their convictions overturned by the Court of Appeal. October the 20th, 1973. Sydney Opera House was opened by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. The Opera House was designed by Danish architect Jon Utzon at a cost of £62 million. October 21st, 1966. A coal slag heap collapsed in the mining village of Aberfan, South Wales, killing 144 people, mainly children, from the Pantglas Junior School. October the 22nd, 1966. Former British spy George Blake escaped from Wormwood Scrubs in London, where he had served just 5 years of his 42-year sentence. Blake decided to become a double agent and spy for the KGB while a prisoner during the Korean War. October 23rd, 1642. The first battle of the English Civil War took place at Edgehill in Warwickshire. Parliament's army was commanded by the Earl of Essex, and King Charles I led the Royalist army.
This is a short article by a Professor Ian Rotherham of Sheffield Hallam University, who is a researcher, writer and broadcaster on wildlife and environmental issues. Welcome return for the little egret. One of the most gorgeous birds, the little egret, is on its way back. Once commonplace, the egret was abundant in our region, with the feast for the enthronement of George Neville as the Archbishop of York in 1466, including 1,000 egrets on the menu. However, with the progressive drainage of the great lowland wetlands from the 1600s onwards, the species contracted its range. Like many others, such as common crane and purple heron, the little egret was headed for extinction in Britain and was lost for around 3 centuries or more. However, they are now back in England, in our region, and doing very well indeed. Not only that, they are being closely followed by the similar cattle egret and their larger cousin, the great white egret. They are stunning birds and are pretty easy to spot in the right locations. They tend to be most likely in lowland wet sites, but can drop down onto reservoirs and elsewhere when on migration. I haven't yet heard of them breeding locally, but it is only a matter of time. In winter and on migration, they are found further inland. We now have over 700 breeding pairs, and in winter, around 5,000 or more birds. As might be expected of a member of the heron family, egrets all eat fish as their main food item, and their spread has been aided by improved quality of water in many areas. However, both habitat creation and climate change, warming, have played a part in the spread. It is increasingly worthwhile looking out for the great white egret and the smaller cattle egret too. Kirkintilloch Horticultural Society. In spite of poor weather, members of Kirkintilloch Horticultural Society recently enjoyed a very worthwhile visit to Kilbride Castle Gardens. The extensive gardens bordered by the Ardagh Burn had lots of autumn colour, with acers and in particular a striking round tree at their best. We later had tea and coffee and delicious home baking in the castle's impressive dining room, and were given a brief history of the estate by our hosts, Lord and Lady Campbell. Our next garden club meeting will take place on Thursdays from 7:30 to 9:30 in Enterprise House, Kirkintilloch. And this week the speaker will be Louise Bustard, Education Officer at Glasgow's Botanic Gardens, and her topic will be Holland, Home of Horticultural. Anyone wishing to join or find out more about the Society can call Errol Birchall on 0141 776 5978. Eastern Bartonshire Council's arrangements for meeting residents. Ward 4, Bishopriggs North and Campsie, Morag Fisher will be available at the Bishopriggs War Memorial Hall on the 24th of October, 5:30 till 6, at the Torrens Community Centre on the 24th of October from 6:15 till 6:45, and at Campsie Memorial Hall on 24th of October from 7 o'clock till 7:30. Ward 6, Lenzie and Kirkintilloch South, Rod Ackland will be available at Lenzie Meadow Primary School on the 24th of October between 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock. Ward 7, Kirkintilloch East and North and Twecker, John Jameson will be available at Twecker Healthy Living and Enterprise Centre on the 19th of October between 6 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. and at Hairstains Community Huts on the same day at 6:45 to 7:15 p.m. Any other surgeries you can find out about by telephoning the Members Support Unit on 0300 123 4510. Saving seeds capsules can reap benefits in your garden. Saving the seed capsules of fruit, veg and ornamental plants has various attractions. Some preserve those of poppy, teasel and love-in-a-mist for floral arrangements, others to harvest the seed and perpetuate a favourite plant the following year, yet more do it to save money. If seeds are collected with the intention of raising an identical plant the following year, avoid disappointment by considering whether they'll reproduce true to form. There is often a clue in the form of a plant's name. If it comprises only 2 words, such as Berberis darwinii, Berberis represents the genus or group it belongs to, and species, with a small s, confirms it's in a natural state from the wild and will reproduce true to form. Crataegus monogyna is the common hawthorn species, so saving and germinating the haws will give you the strong plants you want for a natural gardener hedge. Why then, you may ask, is there an occasional pink flowering hawthorn amongst a hedgerow of white blooms? The answer is that species occasionally cross-hybridize, giving rise to such differences. When a plant has 3 names, which many flowering types have because of ongoing hybridization, the 3rd represents the variety, or more correctly, the cultivar name. This appears between single quotation marks and begins with a capital letter such as Rudbeckia, Fulgida, Goldsturm. If it comes from a strong line, many of the resultant plants will be identical, but anticipate more variety with recently introduced cultivars. When you buy a packet of F1 hybrid seeds, flowers or vegetables, there is a clear indication of what the plants will look like and how they'll perform. That is because 2 proven, strong plant lines have been selected to hybridize. Knowledge of their genetic structure means that dominant features such as colour, vigour and disease resistance can be confidently predicted. If you save any seed arising from the resultant plants, they are termed F2, and those plants will vary. Some gardeners save pea, bean, courgette and tomato seeds that were bought under a varietal or cultivar name, and are surprised that, apart from slight variations, they reproduce true to form. Tomato Gardener's Delight, broad bean the Sutton, and pea Early Onward are examples. One explanation for this is that each variety has come from a strong breeding line tried by seed firms over time.
Graphics. Is prison working? 13,735 people were sentenced to prison in Scotland between April 2015 and March 2016. 65% of these were for sentences of 6 months or less. 57% of people released from a custodial sentence of 6 months or less are convicted within a year. 39% return to prison within a year of being released. And 6 in 10 of those given a short prison sentence reoffend within a year, compared with 3 in 10 of those given a community sentence. Community payback orders. 19,100 people got community payback orders imposed in 2016-2017. 75% to 80% of orders included unpaid work. Unpaid work is the most common requirement issued as part of measures such as drug and alcohol rehabilitation or mental health support. 3/4 of those in 2016-17 were delivered in full. The cost of a prison place is £34,961. Most popular Scottish swimming websites. ScottishSwimming.com, the national governing body for swimming, diving, water polo, open water and synchro in Scotland, has the latest news in the sport and how to get involved. Number 2. SplashTimesSwimmingAcademy.com offers swimming coaching for children, toddlers and adults, includes group profile, details of lessons. Number 3, DiscoverSwimming.com provides swimming instruction for children and adults at various locations throughout Scotland. Number 4, KandKSwim.co.org has information for members and prospective members, including acceptance lists, results, photos and contacts. Number 5, StonehavenOpenAirPool.co.uk. Details of this Art Deco Olympic-sized, fully filtrated seawater open-air swimming pool includes information about events, its history and open season. The school holidays for October break is Monday, October 15th to Friday, October 19th. Christmas holidays, Monday, December 24th to Friday, January the 4th. Mid-term break is Monday, February the 11th and Tuesday, February 12th. In-service day, Wednesday, February the 13th. Spring break, April, Monday, April the 1st to Friday, April the 12th. Easter weekend, Friday, April the 19th to Monday, April the 22nd. May Day holiday is Monday the 6th of May, in-service day is Monday 23rd of May and the May holiday weekend is Friday, May 24th to Monday, May 27th. The following is a list with an insight into Britain's most secret places. These are the top 10 spots for holding or hiding our possessions. The underwear drawer comes in first with 21%. Number 2, in a safe, 19%. 3 is a jewellery box, 12%. 4 is a mattress, 9%. 5 is the attic, 8%. Photo frames comes number 6 with 6%. 7, plant pots, 5%. 8, in the garage, 4%. 9, hollowed out book, 3%, and 10, a bag of flour, 2%. The visiting hours for Greater Glasgow and Clyde offers flexible visiting times from 11 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. in most of its hospitals and wards. However, these do not apply everywhere, with maternity wards, children's wards, acute medical units and surgical receiving units 2 of the exceptions. If you are unsure of what restrictions apply, check with the hospital using the numbers. Shock over sudden death of teenager. Staff and pupils at Lenzie Academy have been left shocked and saddened after the sudden death of a teenage girl at the school. Classmates of the pupil known locally as Cornelia Burak are being offered counselling after learning of the tragedy on Thursday, October the 11th. It is not believed the youngster was at school at the time of her death. Tributes have been paid to the schoolgirl on social media by friends and classmates. One described her as an amazing person, while another posted, "Thank you for everything, making me laugh and always being there for me. We'll miss you more than anything. You will always have a special place in my heart." It is believed Cornelia was originally from Wiegorzanowo in Poland before moving to Scotland. Eastern Bartonshire Council confirmed a pupil had passed away and that counselling was being offered to any school pupils who require it. Anne Davey, Eastern Bartonshire Council's Deputy Chief Executive, said, "We have been informed about the death of a Lenzie Academy pupil. Support is being provided to pupils and staff at the school, and our thoughts are with family and friends at this very sad time." Get on board to better bus and rail services. Councillors have agreed to carry out public consultations across East Dunbartonshire to ensure the best possible transport strategies going forward. East Dunbartonshire Council is currently revising its local transport strategy and will carry out an 8-week consultation exercise. This will include an online survey and drop-in events. In his preface to the Transport Options Report, Place, Neighbourhood and Corporate Assets convener Billy Hendry, Conservative Bishopbriggs North and Campsie, said, "It is important the Council continue to make improvements to the transport network to ensure there are attractive options in place to enable a shift to sustainable travel whilst ensuring that the network is accessible to all and is safer than ever before." Plans for improved bus services include real-time passenger information, enhanced bus stops and shelters, and anti-congestion measures such as bus priority areas and congestion bypasses. The Council is also committed to several improvements to Kirkintilloch Town Centre. These are covered by the Kirkintilloch Town Centre Master Plan and include a bus hub and other more widespread regeneration projects. There is also a desire to improve bus services between Kirkintilloch and Lenzie. These include upgrades to the Lenzie Village Centre and station area, better connections between bus and rail, and easier access to the station for cyclists and pedestrians. All this is intended to promote greener travel and reduce reliance on cars. Although Lenzie Station is owned by Network Rail, the Council still has the power to alter car park provision and bus waiting facilities. An alternative plan, which has also been considered, is to increase parking at Lenzie Station by adding a new deck at the north side of the car park, but this is not the preferred option on environmental grounds, ranging from pollution to impact on visual amenity. Previous plans for a train station at Woolleylea have been axed. The Council said the Scottish Government has no plans to provide funding for this, and it is also felt it would provide very poor value for money, particularly as a station has now been confirmed for Rob Royston.
Plea to stop brothers from being deported. Religious leaders have signed an open letter to the Home Secretary urging him to intervene to prevent deportation of 2 teenage asylum seeker brothers from Springburn. Written by the Right Reverend Susan Brown, moderator of the General Assembly of the Church of Scotland, it calls on Sajid David to re-examine the Ahmed Bakish family case. Signed by 13 former moderators and 6 other leaders from denominations including the Roman Catholic Church and Scottish Episcopal Church, the letter implores the government to recognise the danger they would face if they are sent back to Pakistan. Samar 15, Arib 13 and their parents Masood and Parveed fled to Scotland in 2012 from Faisalabad in Pakistan after their father was subjected to death threats from Islamic extremists due to his Christian faith. Mrs. Brown, a chaplain in Ordinary to the Queen, wrote, "We urge the UK government to examine this case again and recognise the Pakistan-wide threat the family faces. We are even more concerned for the well-being of 2 young boys who found a home in Scotland. They have thrived here, and 88,000 people have signed a 38-degree petition handed into the Home Office's Immigration Enforcement Reporting Centre in Glasgow." Mrs. Brown said a separate online petition set up by pupils at the boys' school, Springburn Academy, emphasises how much a part of the community they are. She added, "They are a credit to Scotland, to our education system, and along with their parents, have so much to offer our land." Paul Sweeney, MP for Glasgow North East, and Bob Doris, MSP for Glasgow, Maryhill and Springburn have also taken up the family's case.
Start again,
Kilsyth Academy. On from the tremendous community spirit of our fundraising for Teenage Cancer Trust, we are setting up a MAD group in school. MAD is making a difference. This could be fundraising food hampers, toy collections or simple random acts of kindness. Mrs. Gordon is looking for pupils from all years to be involved who want to make a difference in the school and the community. Numeracy engagement. We are running a parental support event for numeracy on Wednesday, October 24th from 6:30pm to 7:30pm. Parents of all S1 are invited along to see how certain topics are currently being taught in maths and to give some ideas and advice on how best to support your child with numeracy. We look forward to welcoming as many S1 parents to this event as possible. City of Glasgow College. A number of pupils will attend the City of Glasgow College to take part in week-long professional hospitality workshops. This exciting opportunity will provide our pupils with an experience of further education whilst introducing them to the world of professional hospitality.
Ready to tackle whatever the winter weather throws at us. The hard-working team which keeps East Dunbartonshire Roads network motoring is already ready for the winter weather. The local authorities said it is prepared to respond to the dropping temperatures and snow to keep both traffic and pedestrians safe and moving. Last winter saw council crews working round the clock to deal with the challenging weather conditions. The beast from the east, snowstorms, brought many parts of the area to a standstill, with many drivers forced to abandon their cars in huge drifts. At a recent meeting of East Dunbartonshire Council's Place and Neighbourhood Committee, Councillor Susan Murray recommended the efforts... I'll start that paragraph again. At a recent meeting of East Dunbartonshire Council's Place and Neighbourhood Committee, Councillor Susan Murray commended the efforts of both the community and the council teams last winter, and she assured residents that the council is prepared for the coming months. She said, "Dealing with the effects of snow and ice on our roads is a massive logistical challenge, and keeping everything moving is an important task for the council. Last year's prolonged winter weather affected much of Scotland, but the people of East Dunbartonshire should know we are well placed and are doing everything in our power to be prepared. Our gritting fleet is ready for action at the first sign of the mercury dropping. We have salt supplies stored in our salt dome, and our highly experienced teams are on standby 24 hours a day, 7 days a week throughout the winter, in order to keep roads and pavements as snow and ice-free as we possibly can. It's not an easy task as conditions change rapidly, but our on-call duty officer checks a dedicated forecasting service specific to East Dunbartonshire 3 times a day and uses this to make a decision on what action is required to keep roads safe. In addition, the council has installed road condition sensor stations at various locations across the authority, which give information on the current road condition, road surface temperature and the amount of residual salt. This allows us to save money by only gritting when it's needed and not wasting supplies unnecessarily, by being as efficient and effective as possible. East Dunbartonshire, like all other local authorities, prioritises what roads it treats. There are 2 categories of gritting route, primary and secondary. The primary routes cover 67% of East Dunbartonshire's 514 kilometre of road and consist of main roads, bus routes, access to fire, police, ambulance stations and hospitals, steep or dangerous roads, at least one access road to each school, and main access roads to rural communities. The secondary routes include all other roads within the authority area, such as local and general access roads, less used industrial roads, and cul-de-sacs, which are only salted during periods of adverse weather and when resources allow. Residents can check information about road conditions and gritting plans via the Council's website and social media, with Facebook posts and tweets when the gritters are out and about. The Council has specialised gritters for footways which are based in strategic locations throughout the East Dunbartonshire area. The main footway routes cover main shopping areas, footways adjacent to community centres, health centres, and near sheltered housing and schools, and steep or particularly wet footways that create enhanced risk. According to the Council, if freezing conditions are forecast, primary footway routes are gritted in advance as a precaution. Councillor Murray added, "Last winter our communities played a vital part in helping keep their areas clear of snow. We all need to be as prepared as possible for winter, and the Council also makes grit available for residents to use it in their own streets, paths and driveways. More than 400 grit bins are placed at strategic locations for people to help themselves. These are for public use and are regularly checked and refilled. If a grit bin near you is empty, please alert us by calling 0300 123 4510. Additional grit is also available from Broomhill Depot, Kilsyth Road, Kirkintilloch. This is a facility for members of the public to use, but please take a shovel and container. The Council and its partners are arranging a series of information roadshows next month to make sure people have all the information they need to cope during extreme or prolonged winter weather. And that article by Liz Gallagher is accompanied by a couple of photographs, one of Councillor Murray in front of a road gritter and council workers at the Salt Dome at Broomhill, and the other one is a picture from last winter during the Beast from the East storm of Kirkintilloch residents digging out their cars. It looks very like the road that runs up from Waterside Village to the main road, and some of the cars are still covered in snow, but others have been dug out. Lots of pedestrians there with their shovels. 6 of the best join the Council. 6 new graduates took their first step on the career ladder this week when they joined East Dunbartonshire Council. Adam, Courtney, Glenn, Mark, Nicola and Stuart met Joint Council leader Andrew Paulson as they began their year-long placement with the Council on its graduate programme. They will join teams across the Council to work in their chosen field and gain knowledge and experience of the workplace. Placements range from finance to the roads team and human resources. This is the 6th batch of graduates to be employed by the Council on the programme over the last 4 years, bringing the total number of young people on it to 31. Andrew Paulson said, "It's a great opportunity, and I was impressed by the calibre of the new team and by their enthusiasm." Nicola, a former pupil of St Ninian's High School in Kirkintilloch, who graduated in risk management from Glasgow Caledonian University, said, "Growing up, I understood the value of a strong public sector and always felt drawn to a career within it. I'm excited to have been given this opportunity to do something I feel passionately about." Heriot Watt graduate and former Bearsden Academy student Mark added, "I was attracted to this programme as I feel there will be so much to learn in my field of civil and structural engineering by working on council projects. I can't wait to get started." And that's accompanied by a photograph of the graduates with Andrew Paulson down at the marina overlooking the harbour where the boats are. Charitable team at NG show their mettle. The concierge team at NG Homes have raised a total of £6,657 for charity, including the Marie Curie Hospice at Bishopbriggs, through an innovative project. For the past 5 years, the team have been recycling old metal from voids at the North Glasgow Housing Association's multi-storey flats. Donations have been sent to a variety of charities over the years, including the Royal Hospital for Sick Children at York Hill and Marie Curie. NG Homes concierge and property manager Colin Leveridge had the original idea. He approached NG Homes CEO Robert Tamburini, who gave his full support.
Get baking and raise dough for charity. Scottish chef Nick Nairn is calling on budding bakers to get involved in the Stroke Association's Give a Hand and Bake Week, running from October 22nd to 28th. The purpose of the month is to encourage people to get out the rolling pin, make their favourite cake and hold a bake sale to raise awareness of stroke and raise funds to prevent stroke and support those who have had a stroke. Scottish chef Nick Nairn has joined the charity to invite local residents to host their own. Nick said, "I discovered I had high blood pressure and that I have a very high risk of having a stroke. Since then, I've done all I can to change my lifestyle and make sure I check my blood pressure regularly. I also recently discovered the fantastic work that the Stroke Association does supporting stroke survivors and their families, and that's why I'm asking you to join us this autumn and get stuck in with Give a Hand and Bake." This fabulous charity fundraiser is the perfect excuse to get creative in the kitchen. Angela MacLeod, Communications Manager of the Stroke Association, said, "Give a Hand and Bake Week is a fun way to support our charity's work. We fund research into stroke treatment and care and support stroke survivors with their recovery. This includes our latest online tool, My Stroke Guide, which provides round-the-clock advice, information and support for stroke survivors, their families and carers. We'd love you to take part with friends, family or colleagues for Give a Hand and Bake. Whether you're a baking beginner or a seasoned chef, there are lots of ways of baking can rise to the challenge." Charity dates for your diary. RAF Charity seeks volunteers. The Royal Air Force Association, the charity that supports the RAF family, is looking for caring people to join its team of trained welfare volunteers. The charity is looking for volunteers who can visit current and former RAF personnel and their families who are in need of support. Full nationally accredited training will be provided. Catherine Lord, volunteer manager at the RAF Association, said, "Forces personnel and their families sacrifice a normal family life to keep the rest of us safe, and we believe that we owe them a debt of gratitude once they have served. We provide practical and emotional support and are looking for people to help us help those in need." Volunteering for the RAF Association helps develop relationship building, research and teamwork skills, as well as giving individuals a great sense of well-being from helping others. To find out more, call 0800 018 2361. Do you have what it takes to be the next David Attenborough? Young people from across Scotland are being encouraged to take part in the Young Reporters Scotland initiative, organised by environmental charity Keep Scotland Beautiful. The initiative supports young people to develop their skills in journalism and share their views on the environment as part of a nationwide competition. Young Reporters Scotland encourages anyone aged 8 to 26 to utilise their journalistic talents and give their environment a voice using photography, film and writing, inspiring young people to increase their knowledge and awareness of environmental, social and economic issues, and providing them with a platform to express their views. The initiative is calling out to all young people, teachers, schools, youth groups, colleges and universities to get involved. With a wealth of support and resources available from Keep Scotland Beautiful, the project empowers all participants to investigate and report on an environmental or sustainability issue that matters to them, making their voices heard. For young reporters of school age, their work can also provide evidence to support their school's application for an Eco Schools Scotland green flag. Young reporter Jasmine Laurie, 18, said, "Being a part Young Reporters Scotland has given me opportunities that I would never have expected. I have been able to travel overseas and mix with other like-minded young people and report at key events. The programme has given me the confidence to follow my passion for photography, and I am really excited to continue as a reporter and ambassador for Young Reporters Scotland and be involved in new and exciting opportunities that lie ahead." Anne-Marie Robb, Education and Learning Coordinator at Keep Scotland Beautiful, said, "With hundreds of young Scots motivated by Blue Planet 2, I would encourage them to take part in Young Reporters Scotland and learn some of the skills they need to become the next David Attenborough. The initiative provides students, schools and individuals with the opportunity to learn new skills, take a stand on environmental issues that they care about and make a positive change in their community. Everyone who participates in Young Reporters Scotland has the opportunity to take part in our annual competition, bringing to life an issue that they are truly passionate about, whilst building a range of life skills and being in with the opportunity to win great prizes and experiences."
This is the listings guide. Until October 25th, on display. Come along and see all the entries and winners in this exciting annual display of the very best amateur photographic talent. The East Dunbartonshire Photography Competition exhibition takes place in the Allkirk Museum. Excuse me. Until November 1st, exhibition. Lily Art Gallery, Milngavie, Glasgow Society of Women Artists. This hugely popular annual exhibition includes exciting new work by the long-established, multi-talented Glasgow Society of Women Artists. The third annual exhibition of the Scottish Society of Botanical Artists is also on show. Shapes of Nature's a collection of botanical art and illustrations from members showcasing a diverse range of Scottish and international flora. October 27th, Talent Show. Lindsay's Got Talent. Talented young people will have the opportunity to take part in the Lindsay's Got Talent show in Lindsay Union New Hall. This will be an opportunity for young entertainers to show their skills to an appreciative audience. There will be a rehearsal on Thursday, October 25th in the New Hall for all the performers. If you would like to take part, please get in touch with Drina O'Malley on 077 419 2659 or Kim on 074 826 78955. Tickets cost £3 and this will include a child accompanied by an adult. There will be stalls and refreshments. Any profits from the evening will be donated to Deaf Blind Scotland. For more contact Drina O'Malley on 07774 192 659. November 5th, History Talk. The next talk organised by the Mulgai and Bearsden Historical Society will be given by Susan Morrison on the topic Stuart plots. Kidnapping, murder and treasonous intrigue were all part of the royal day of a Stuart monarch. The talk will take place on Monday the 5th of November at 7:30 p.m. in the Lesser Hall of Bearsden Community Hub, Bearsden Cross. Visitors welcome, that's £4. November the 7th, People's Voice. Beauclair Academy in Bearsden will host the annual Thomas Muir Symposium. This year's theme is The People's Voice, and it will feature speakers from the academic community, secondary school pupils and members of local history societies. The afternoon includes a talk and music by pupils. November 10th to December the 20th, exhibition. Lily Art Gallery, Mulgai, Urban Landscapes, an interesting choice of works from the permanent collection, representing a rich and varied interpretation of the term urban, from the idyllic views of initial intrusions into the countryside to full-blown inner-city decay. November 20th, Kirkintilloch Town Hall. It's a roaring success. Kirkintilloch Town Hall, 7:30 p.m. Tickets are on sale for Animal Families and Me, with Gordon Buchanan, the highly acclaimed television wildlife cameraman and presenter. Hear about his personal recollections of his globe-trotting travels, and to witness a world of weird, wild and wonderful wildlife, all illustrated with his own film. Footage and photography. To book, call 0141 777 3143. Part of East Dunbartonshire Library's book, Week Scotland 2018 Events Programme. November 21, Author Talk. Lennoxton Library, 2 to 3 p.m. Author David Munro, who wrote the Time Jigsaw series of books, will talk about his path from business to published author on Wednesday, November 21st, from 2 to 3 p.m. at Lennoxton Library as part of the National Book Week 2018. November 23rd, Thomas Muir Festival. Moya Brennan in concert, Cadder Church, Bishopbriggs, Friday, November 23rd, 7:30 p.m. Moya has been described as the voice of Clannad and First Lady of Celtic music. Accompanying Brennan will be Cormac de Barra, harp and vocals, Aisling Jarvis, guitar, bouzouki, whistle and vocal, Leah Wright, violin and vocal, and Paul Jarvis, keyboards, percussion and vocals. Tickets priced £25. Until December 21st, Christmas Crafts. All Kirk Museum Kirkintilloch. This year's guest artist is Jackie Stevenson. Jackie studied drawing and painting at Glasgow School of Art and has exhibited widely in galleries and exhibitions across the UK. View a wide range of local craft work from jewellery to ceramics. The museum is open Tuesday to Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Looking to the future in RNIB's 150th year. This is a feature article by Julie Curry. It's 150 years since the RNIB was founded to help blind and partially sighted people across the UK. The charity was launched on October the 16th, 1868, the brainchild of Thomas Rhodes Armitage, a physician who had lost his own sight. Initially, its aim was to improve the availability of literature for people with sight loss, but it went on to improve their education and employment prospects too. Today, more than 170,000 people in Scotland are living with significant sight loss, with some 2 million across the UK. And according to the RNIB, that figure is set to double by 2050, mainly because of our ageing population and the increase in sight-threatening conditions such as diabetes. This week's anniversary is a time for both reflection and looking forward to the future for Sandra Wilson, chairwoman of RNIB Scotland, who lost her own sight at the age of 4. She said, "As we mark our 150th anniversary, we've been reflecting on how the lives of blind and partially sighted people have been transformed over the last century and a half. It's also a chance to look at the future and the world we want to see. A world free of barriers for people with sight loss like me, where we are valued for who we are, not defined by the disabilities we happen to have. The RNIB has helped to build a kinder, more inclusive world for blind and partially sighted people, but there's still more to do. Working with our partners in other charities, business and government, we want to make sure everyone can access the advice and support they need, and that no one feels alone in a world that includes and values us all. It's an ambitious vision, but one I'm confident we can achieve. Reading the very few books available in Braille in 1868 was limited to those who had been taught the raised dots system. Today, RNIB's Talking Books audio library has 30,000 titles to lend out. Sandra said, "When our library service began in 1935, a single book was recorded on up to 10 12-inch long-playing records. Today, they can be sent out on a memory stick or simply downloaded over the internet. This largely happened because RNIB kept pushing for technology to accommodate the needs of people with sight loss. But there's still work to be done. Only 17% of people experiencing sight loss are offered emotional support in response to their deteriorating vision. 4 out of every 10 blind and partially sighted people are not able to make all the journeys that they want or need to make. And while people with severe sight loss now work as broadcasters, school teachers and civil servants, only 1 in 4 blind or partially sighted people of working age have a job. It's something 70-year-old Sandra, who lives in Kirkcaldy and worked as a careers advisor for a number of years, feels strongly about. She said, "Employers tend to panic. They see the sight loss rather than the abilities that the person has. There are jobs people with sight loss can do. Sometimes all it takes is minor adjustments in lighting or IT. And the government also has an Access to Work programme which supports employers who employ people with disabilities. Some employers do go the extra mile, but it's an area we still need to tackle." To mark its anniversary, the RNIB has created a short video of its history, 150 years in 150 seconds. It is also sharing 1 story a day for 150 days on its website, highlighting different experiences of sight loss from across the UK. Every 6 minutes, someone in the UK begins to lose their sight. If you or anyone you know has a sight problem, call the RNIB helpline on 0303 123 9999. This is now part of the article about the RNIB, and it marks all the milestones as it lays out its vision for the future. The first starts. The RNIB was founded in 1868 by a Thomas Rhodes Armitage, a physician who had lost his sight. The British and Foreign Society for Improving the Embossed Literature of the Blind went on to become the Royal National Institute of Blind People, as in RNIB, of today. and that's accompanied by a photograph of himself. Second milestone, 1875. The first patron was Queen Victoria. Victoria reigned during a time when drastic changes were taking place in the arts, sciences, cultural and industrial sectors. She was patron of 150 organisations, including the RNIB, and that's accompanied by a picture of her. 1914, the war years, the charity's name changed to the National Institute for the Blind, or NIB, just as the country was going to war. It would be 5 long years in which many men suffered horrific injuries, including blindness. The next milestone, 1935, talking books. The NIB's Talking Books service began to provide access to books for servicemen who lost their sight in the First World War. The Sound Recording Committee decided on gramophone records as the best format. And there's a picture there of the old-style gramophone records on a turntable. In 1953, there was a name change. The year after Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II became its new patron, the charity's name was officially changed to the Royal National Institute for the Blind, the RNIB, a name which it retained well into the new millennium. In 1968 came its centenary. As the RNIB celebrates its centenary year, the computer production of Braille is also introduced. The charity also stages a special exhibition showing its progress over the previous 100 years and its vision for the future. In 1971, then, the centenary of RNIB's first Braille magazine occurred. Its name was Progress, and it's still in publication today. In recent times, the charity worked with the publishers of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, ensuring a Braille edition was published along with the standard version. In 1987, tactile paving was advanced, which meant that textured surfaces found on footpaths, stairs and train station platforms were there to assist pedestrians who were visually impaired, and it was first introduced at pedestrian crossings after campaigning by the RNIB. In the 1990s, the RNIB campaigns persuade political parties to produce their manifestos in Braille and in audio. The charity also succeeded in persuading BT and eventually other utilities to introduce bills in large print and Braille. In 1992, thanks to the RNIB's leadership of the Disability Consortium and the evidence from the first RNIB Needs Survey, the Disability Living Allowance is introduced by the government for blind people of working age. 1998, the RNIB helpline is launched, providing information, advice and support to people living with sight loss over the phone. A year later, free eye tests for the over 60s in England are introduced thanks to campaigning by RNIB. Between 2005 and 2007, the RNIB partners with Pure Digital to bring the first talking DAB digital radio to the market, and its campaign for audio description means that 1 in 3 UK cinemas and 11.5 million households with Sky or cable can get audio-described film and TV programmes. In 2013, the RNIB modifies its name, adding people to the title, the Royal National Institute of Blind People. It also adopts a new logo and the strapline supporting blind and partially sighted people. In 2015, the RNIB's Talking Books service becomes free of charge for people with sight loss to mark its 80th anniversary. A year later, RNIB Connect is launched to enable people with sight loss to meet others with similar experiences. And finally, 2018, the RNIB marks 150 years and launches a new, more accessible logo and strap line, which has been developed with input from the sight loss community. It's a time to look back as well as to the future. And looking to the future, with children like Paul and Leland, our future is in safe hands. 2 Scottish schoolboys have taken part in a special film to mark the 150th anniversary of the RNIB. Paul Abiri, aged 12, is very short-sighted due to being born prematurely at 24 weeks. And Leland Payton, aged 5, has aniridia, a rare genetic condition which means the iris is missing or incomplete. RNIB has worked with visually impaired children across the UK to create a light-hearted short film to encourage people to see the person, not the sight loss. The children in the film share their ambitions for the future and ideas about what the world could be like. And it's clear they don't see their visual impairment as a barrier. Paul, who lives in Edinburgh with his parents and 3 brothers, said, "When I grow up, I want to design computer games, as I love using computers at school. I go to the library every Friday to watch funny things on YouTube. In the future, I believe nobody will be blind, as there will be special glasses to help blind people see. I think there will be cars that can fly and robots who will look after people. I find it difficult to balance sometimes, so the robot could help me with that." Leland Payton, who also lives in Edinburgh, said, "When I grow up, I want to be a cook. I'd like to cook hamburgers, sausages, pizza, and chicken nuggets, all my favourites." Sandra Wilson, chairwoman of RNIB Scotland, said, "Wouldn't it be amazing to live in a world where blind and partially sighted people don't have to think twice about being included? That's why our commitment is to breaking down the barriers that still exist. And with the future in the hands of children like Paul and Leland, I know we can do it."
From taking out the bin and mowing the lawn to a giant leap for mankind. Most people know the talking points about the 1969 moon landing, the famous words uttered by Neil Armstrong, the image of the American flag fluttering on the surface. What is less well known is the impact the race to the moon had on the people left behind on Earth. But the real cost of human achievement has long been an area of interest for director Damien Chazelle, who has explored the idea in previous films La La Land and Whiplash, and who turns his attention again to this subject for his new film First Man. Neil always insisted there was nothing special about him, Chazelle said. He said he was just one of many, and circumstances enabled him to be the first man on the moon. There was this normality to him. That normality is a crucial component to the film, which reunites him with his La La Land star Ryan Gosling in the role of Armstrong, and which explores the astronaut's home life and family tragedy, as well as his sheer force of will it took to get him to the moon. Before I began work on First Man, I knew the textbook narrative of the mission to the moon, the success story of an iconic achievement, but little else, the director adds. Once I started digging, I grew astounded by the sheer madness and danger of the enterprise, the number of times it circled failure, as well as the toll it took on all involved. I wanted to understand what compelled these men to voyage into deep space, and what the experience, moment by moment, breath by breath, might have felt like. But the domestic angle has just as important, and Chazelle says this was a story that needed to hinge between the moon and the kitchen sink, the vast expanses of space juxtaposed against the texture of quotidian life and the Armstrong family's most intimate guarded moments. My hope was that this approach could highlight the heartbreak, joy, lives lived and lost in the name of one of history's most famous goals, setting foot on the moon. For Gosling, the role gave him a chance to learn more than the basics and the headlines. I think as soon as I learned what the moon was, I learned that somebody named Neil Armstrong walked on it, the actor adds. He has synopsis with the moon, but I realised after reading James Hansen's book First Man that I knew very little. On an emotional level, I was surprised to learn just how much loss Neil and his wife Janet experienced before and during those historic missions. On a practical level, I don't think I fully appreciated how dangerous those missions were. I can't imagine a greater duality than that between the intimacy and singularity of the Armstrongs' personal life and the infinite nature of space that it's intertwined with. These astronauts were using their comparative flashlight of scientific knowledge to contend with the infinite mysteries of the universe and, at the same time, taking out their trash and mowing their lawns back on Earth. Claire Foy, who takes on the role of Armstrong's wife Janet, who also fascinated by the juxtaposition of scientific discovery and painful domesticity. It's a very human story, she said thoughtfully. I don't think this is just the story of the moon landing. It's the story of a marriage and a family and what they endured and their losses and also their triumphs. The more we show on screen, people struggling and people going through very real things, when people assume that they are a hero or something like that, the better really, because you get to see the human at the centre of it. The film details the camera crews camped outside Janet's house during her husband's missions and the pressure placed on her to appear on magazine covers. From the off, Janet was very, very real about the impact that this was having on her children and on herself. She knew what the media and NASA wanted from her, and she wasn't going to give it to them. And that takes a huge amount of knowledge yourself and knowing what the boundaries are. She just knew that instinctively, and that was the reality of that situation. First Man is out now and in the cinemas. Golden Day for Couple. Leslie and James Hood, who wed at St David's Church, Kirkintilloch, celebrate 50 years of marriage. A golden day for them. It was a golden day last week for one happy Kirkintilloch couple who clocked up 50 years of married bliss. Leslie and James Hood celebrated with a party on the date of their anniversary, Friday, October 12th. The couple tied the knot in 1968 at St David's Church in Kirkintilloch. They shared their celebration with their two daughters, Karen, 49, and Lorna, 41, son Martin, 46, and grandchildren Zach, 9, and Jet, 6. Their daughter Lorna said, "They are both truly inspirational at 71 this year." Instead of gifts, the couple asked for donations to Strathkelvin Hospice. Lorna's husband Mark sadly passed away at the age of 40 from lung cancer and spent his last days there. There is a lovely picture of the couple standing together, smiling, with obviously a cake and whatever in front of them, just about to be cut.
Scottish FA joins forces with Children First. The Scottish FA has announced a new partnership with Children First. The official charity partnership will see Scottish football get behind Children First's ambition to double the children and families it reaches by 2023 through the Give a Child Their Smile Back campaign. Ian Maxwell, Chief Executive of the Scottish FA, said, "Children's first work is ensuring Scotland's children and families enjoy the best start possible is to be applauded, and we are delighted to enter into this charity partnership with them. Mary Glasgow, Chief Executive of Children First, said, "By bringing the nation's favourite sport together with Scotland's national children's charity, we can help thousands more children and families across the country. We're delighted to be working with the Scottish FA to raise awareness, understanding and support from across the footballing community so that children are happier, safer and can make the most of their lives." Dog music album now available on download. Due to high demand, the Scottish SPCA album Pause, Play, Relax is available to download and stream through Spotify, iTunes, Google Play and other popular music sites and apps. The album, created alongside songwriter John McLaughlin, is aimed at relaxing dogs. Andrew Hay, who recently rehomed Kitty, a Lasso Apso from the charity, said, "Pause, Play, Relax has really helped Kitty when she's a bit stressed and anxious, and we've seen her become more of a chilled out dog." The album was released shortly after we rehomed her, and I bought it as I thought it would help Katie settle in, and I've ended up enjoying it just as much as her. Gillian Mendes Ferreira, Scottish SPCA Head of Education and Policy, said, "The team at our centre across Scotland have been enjoying listening to the album and our dogs have had a very positive reaction to the music." The album is available to download on all major streaming download sites.
Cruel for Tigers as they lose semi by a single point. Glasgow Tigers boss Cammy Brown admitted it was hard to take as his team were cruelly put out of the championship playoffs at Ashfield by a single point. The Tigers were beaten 52-38 by Workington on Sunday night, having won the first leg of their semi-final 51-38. The sides met twice in the same day after both legs were rained off on Friday and Saturday as Storm Callum wreaked havoc across the country. In the first round, Klaus Vissing scored a paid maximum of 13+2 for the Tigers, who had to score 39 points to book their place in the final against either Lakeside or Peterborough. In the latter tie, the Tigers pushed the Comets all the way to the last heat, but a 3-3 was enough to send the Cumbrians through to a final spot. Brown said, "We tried really hard to the last race, but we're absolutely gutted as a club and as a management. To lose by a single point is hard at the best of times, but in a league playoff semi-final, it's hard to take. We're all pretty low at the moment. The club deserves some success and we were 1 point away from making the final, and a final we thought was very winnable." He added, "We're not overly happy with the referee's performance tonight, but at the end of the day we lost the match, so just have to suck it up. The records will show that we lost." Workington flew from the starts to begin with and had pulled the aggregate score to within 1 point by Heat 6. A 4-2 in Heat 8, followed by 2 5-1s for the home team, put them several ahead overall, and the tie seemed lost to the Tigers. But they fought back through 2 wins from guest Ricky Wells and a fired-up Klaus Vissing to give themselves a chance going into the last 2 races, from which the Tigers would have needed at least 1 advantage to qualify. The result brings Glasgow's season to an end, and they'll look back on injuries to Craig Cook and Nathan Greaves as playing their part, although Wells proved a decent replacement for the number 1, dropping just 4 points from 9 races. And that's accompanied by a photograph of the Glasgow Tigers semi-final and in the race. Rugby. And first off, it's Lindsay. Lindsay 12, Uddingston 6. Lindsay narrowly won this tight top-of-the-league clash on a wet autumnal Saturday. The game was very scrappy and neither team built any momentum or sustained pressure due to a mixture of handling errors or penalties. Lindsay scored early in the game when Neil Allen pounced on a loose line out to crash over for an unconverted try. This was the only score of the half, although Lindsay were looking the more likely team to score the next try. The second period started well for Uddingston when they took advantage of Lindsay's mistakes to convert 2 penalties to nudge the visitors in front 6-5. Standoff Gavin Cruikshanks began to take control and repeatedly used the wind to kick to the corner, which enabled Lindsay to put Uddingston under pressure. And this paid off when the home side were awarded a penalty try when the scrum went down on the visitors' line. Lindsay had control of the game and were unfortunate not to score through the probings of Colin Gemmell and Craig Bryson. However, Uddingston could have stolen the game late on when they were awarded a penalty, when advantage may have allowed their winger to win the foot race for the line. Lindsay were pleased to hear the final whistle and take the points to take the top slot in the league. Best for Lindsay were Allen, Mackay, Letford and McAllister, with Gavin Cruikshank awarded the man of the match for his excellent kicking from hand. Lindsay's second 15 beat Uddingston seconds 55-0, with young Matthew Cribbs man of the match. Next week, Lindsay are away to Bishopton with a 3 p.m. KO. Allen Glens, Stewartry 3, Allen Glens 15. The Glens boys battled to a hard-fought win against a stubborn home defence. However, the bonus point try was just out of reach. Meanwhile, Glenn's second 15 won 31-17 at Mar's third team 15. The Mighty Twos made it 2 wins on the bounce at Fullerton Park with a solid win. Finally, football. Hairstains, Southside 0, Hairstains 6. Hairstains secured a comprehensive victory over Southside on Saturday. The home side did not help their cause by having 2 players sent off. However, this may have influenced the goal tally rather than the result. Southside were a shadow of the side Hairstains have played in previous seasons. They did have chances and forced some decent saves out of Monroe. Overall, they carried a lukewarm threat. Hairstains started well and soon had Southside on the back foot. Quinn had a chance to open the scoring in the 7th minute. His attempt to lob the keeper fell short. In the 9th, a good ball from cross was headed wide by Broadfoot. Minutes later, Young was clear in the box. His shot was wide of the mark. Hairstains were piling up the chances but not hitting the net. The worry was that, in true irony, Southside would take the lead. Hairstains finally took the lead early in the second half. Black cut in from the right and sent a low shot by the keeper into the left corner. Hairstains' second came from a free kick from Ward. The third came from Broadfoot via the penalty spot. The fourth was collected by Brown after the keeper was drawn out to provide him with an empty goal to shoot into. Andy Cross made it 5 with a powerful shot into the roof of the net. Quinn completed the day when cutting in from the right and shooting a left footer into the corner. Hairstains tote, no winner, £300 rollover.
And shares of the points for Rob Roy in 6-goal thriller. Petershill 3, Rob Roy 3. The Roy came close to opening the scoring in the 2nd minute when Gavin Mackey was fouled 22 yards from goal and Martin McBride's free kick rattled keeper David Day's bar. At the other end, Rab's keeper John Hutchison did well to parry Luke Gerard's stinging shot wide. Play was flowing from end to end with Graham Ramage shooting past from distance when Peasy's Scott Cameron's drive from the edge of the box brilliantly tipped over the bar by Hutchison. From the resultant corner, James Stokes drove the ball high over the goal. Midway through the first half, Mackie's free kick was headed on by McBride to Scott Walker, who saw his shot blocked for a corner. Day then did well to punch clear Mackie's cross. However, the visitors made the breakthrough in the 25th minute when Willie Sawyers headed the ball into the path of Lee Gallagher, and he sent a looping volley high past Day and into the net. As half-time approached, Alberto Visa would have increased Rab's lead but fired over the bar when in a good goal-scoring position. 2 minutes into the second half, Sawyers made a clever turn and his shot was held by Day. However, a minute later, the home side equalised when Michael Morris lost possession within the box, allowing Jamie Hamilton to fire past Hutchison. Things went from bad to worse when Peasy were awarded a penalty kick when Hamilton was brought down in the box by Visa. Cameron made no mistake from the spot kick by sending it past Hutchison. On the hour mark, Rabs replaced Vesa and Mackie with Connor Hughes and Joe Slattery, and 2 minutes after being introduced, Hughes turned on to a Gallagher assist and slotted the ball past Day to equalise. The Roy were starting to control the match, but sloppy passing let them down in the final third. This, coupled with over-fussy refereeing, contributed to a stop-start match. However, Petershill were always dangerous going forward, and Cameron headed a Barclay cross wide from a good goal-scoring position. Nevertheless, it was the visitors who regained the lead in the 82nd minute when Hughes latched onto a through ball from Walker and calmly slotted the ball past Day. Just as it was looking like the game was being safely closed, the Springburn side snatched a stoppage time equaliser they probably just deserved when Barclays threw into the Rabs penalty box was not cleared by the Roy defenders, and Ian Gold nipped in to score from close range. It was a cruel blow to the visitors as there was no further time to play, and Rob Roy had to settle for a share of the points. The award of the Man of the Match trophy went to Willie Sawyers. Rob Roy, Hutchison, Walker, Clark, Sweeney, Morris, Ramage, Curry McLean, Gallagher, McBride, Sawyers, Vesa, Hughes and Mackie Slattery. There are 2 pictures of our footballers. Both teams are quoted, and the ball is unfortunately out of shot. Rain ruins Gordon's weekend. Rossvale boss Gordon Moffat was left to rue the poor weather over the weekend, as both matches he was due to feature in were called off. On Friday night, Moffat was due to play for Cumbernauld Colts in the over-35s Scottish Cup final, whilst on Saturday his Rossvale side were set to travel to play Girvan. However, Storm Callum put paid to both. Moffat was then left frustrated as the SFGA denied Rossvale a permit to play a hastily arranged friendly, saying that 2 days' notice were required. This Saturday, Rossvale are at home in the Championship, where Cumbernauld are the visitors to Hunters Hill for a 2 p.m. kick-off. That finishes our reading for today, so I hope to say cheerio to you all. Hope you stay well, and we'll speak to you again soon.